Documentation of the Case 937. Following the study of the tome by 14 scientists, reports of madness, suicide, homicide and self-cannibalism acts were documented. 11 of the scientists perished, and the remaining 3 were placed in permanent confinement. A tome was recovered by a diver wearing a pressurized underwater suit, working for the Black Gold Drilling Company. As soon as the tome was on board the ship, personnel touched it with their bare hands. Within 2 to 3 days of handling the tome, the skin of the personnel began to decompose at the point of contact. On average, it took 10 days for the infection to spread to vital organs, ultimately resulting in the death of the individual. Images of the side effects were recovered. The cover of the tome appears to be made of skin, which after further examination has been determined to contain DNA from Homo habilis, as well as tissue from cephalopods, possibly of the species Vampirotuthis infernalis. The dating of these components indicates that the tome was crafted between 2.8 to 1.5 million years ago. Photographs of the pages of the tome do not show any writing or content, indicating that the information is only accessible in a physical format. Reports from those who viewed the content of the tome indicate that the writing is highly personal and individualized, containing information about their personal lives, past dreams and fears that could not have been known by anyone else. The content of the tome has been found to cause extreme and disturbing psychological effects on those who read it, leading to madness, suicide, homicide, self-mutilation, and other violent and unnatural acts. Attempts to destroy the tome have been unsuccessful, as it cannot be burned, scratched, or cut, and even burying it in a metal container resulted in the rusting and destruction of the container, leading to the surrounding area becoming infected and rotten. The only effective method of containment has been to store the tome in a cryogenic freezing state of -238 degrees Fahrenheit in a containment chamber, which slows down the spread of the contagion. Of the 14 scientists who studied the tome, 11 died, and the remaining 3 were placed in permanent confinement. The N.I.B. has turned to using prisoners to document the contents of the tome. Prisoners were promised reduced sentences in exchange for their participation in documenting the contents of the tome. None of them are still sane or alive. Test subject number 001. James Parker was the first prisoner to examine the tome. His initial report contained detailed accounts of mutilation and decapitation, along with chilling tales of cannibalistic feasts. Subsequent reports revealed that Taylor's mental state had deteriorated rapidly, with him exhibiting symptoms of extreme obsession and self-mutilation. He was observed tearing at his own scalp, ripping out clumps of hair and flesh until his skull was exposed. James claimed he was trying to release the creatures he saw crawling beneath his skin. Test subject number 002. Lucy Williams was the second prisoner to examine the tome. Her initial report detailed grotesque scenes of cannibalism and evisceration, both human and animal. Subsequent reports revealed that Lucy's mental state had deteriorated rapidly, with her exhibiting symptoms of intense fear and hysteria. She began to carve cryptic symbols into her skin, scratching her face relentlessly, and was found trying to chew off her fingers. Lucy repeatedly whispered the name Shub-Niggurath in a terrified voice. Test subject number 005. Jason Miller was the fifth prisoner to examine the tome. His initial report detailed horrifying visions of apocalyptic events, with cities consumed by fire and entire populations devoured by monstrous creatures. Subsequent reports revealed that Miller's mental state had deteriorated rapidly, with him exhibiting symptoms of extreme dread and crippling despair. He was observed clawing at his own throat, desperately trying to rip open his jugular vein. Walker claimed that he had to die to escape the nightmare that had become his reality. Test subject number 008. Karen Smith was the 8th prisoner to examine the tome. Her initial report contained unsettling descriptions of demonic possessions and malevolent spirits. Subsequent reports revealed that Smith's mental state had deteriorated rapidly, with her exhibiting symptoms of uncontrollable mood swings and violent outbursts. She was observed bashing her own head against the cell floor, causing severe skull fractures and cerebral hemorrhaging. She claimed that she was trying to expel the dark forces that had taken control of her mind. Test subject number 011. Derek Jones was the 11th prisoner to examine the tome. His initial report contained sickening depictions of mutilated bodies and the reanimation of the deceased. Subsequent reports revealed that Jones's mental state had deteriorated rapidly, with him exhibiting symptoms of extreme paranoia and violent tendencies. He was observed tearing his own fingernails off and then using the jagged edges to carve ghastly symbols into his cell walls. He claimed that these symbols were the key to unlocking the apocalyptic powers he had discovered within the tome. In light of the horrifying reports, all attempts to study the tome have been ordered to be made using robotic technology. The tome now remains under strict supervision in a cryogenic containment chamber at the N.I.B. facility, located at 2131 Blackwood Road, Sector 7G.